of a comfortable life, but instead grew up in a world full of struggles and harsh training. Zira saw him as a tool for Scar's revenge, shaping him into the perfect fighter who would defeat Simba, despite and her way of ruling. Physically, Simba is a large and powerful lion, inheriting Mufasa's strength with strong muscles that allow him to take down opponents with ease. Despite aging during The Lion King 2, he still possesses incredible strength. In contrast, Kovu is smaller but has a lean, muscular build and high speed, giving him an advantage in fast-paced combat and strategic maneuvering. Simba relies on his sheer strength and endurance, whereas Kovu relies on speed and agility. In terms of combat skills, his time in the jungle made his fighting style more reliant on raw power. Kovu, on the other hand, was trained in tactical combat from a young age. During their confrontation in The Lion King 2, Kovu managed to injure Simba, but that wasn't a fair fight, as it was an ambush planned by the outsiders. When it comes to intelligence and strategy, Simba possesses sharp wisdom and the ability to make critical leadership decisions. Though he can sometimes be reckless or hesitant, he has a long-term vision that makes him a great king. Kovu, in contrast, spent years as a tool. However, once he started thinking for himself, he proved to be smart and capable of making great strategic moves. Looking at achievements and victories, Simba successfully defeated Scar in an epic battle to reclaim his throne. Scar was cunning and relied on tricks.
Damn.
But in the end, Simba overpowered him and threw him off the cliff with the help of the hyenas, becoming the rightful king of the Pride Lands. Meanwhile, Kovu never actually defeated Simba in direct combat, but instead earned his trust and married Kiara, making him the rightful heir to the throne, not through brute force but through wise decisions. But what if Simba and Kovu engaged in a true one-on-one battle? Who would win? If the fight was based on physical strength and endurance, Simba would undoubtedly emerge victorious due to his sheer size and power. However, if the battle relied on speed and tactical intelligence, Kovu might have the upper hand. Nevertheless, Simba's battle experience and leadership skills make him a formidable opponent. If Kovu had defeated Simba, the Pride Lands would have changed drastically. His rule might have started harsh, but could have evolved into something different. Simba was raised with wisdom by Sarabi, while Zira shaped Kovu into a fighter fueled by vengeance. Over time, Kovu chose a new path, while Simba became a strong and respected king.
Stop moving, boy. Stop move. Very good.
We all know Kovu as the son of Zira, who was trained to kill Simba and take the throne. In the movie, we see he didn't listen to his mother and chose to step over to the good side. His mother couldn't find peace and died during her last attempt to take down Simba. But Kovu finally found his happiness and fell in love with Kiara. But have you ever wondered what would have happened if he killed Simba? Would Kovu still have ended up with Kiara? Would his mother still be alive and find her true happiness? And most importantly, what would Nuka think? As the jealous brother he always was, would he just follow orders of Kovu? Or would he fall on the same path as his father Scar, who killed his own brother because of his jealousy? Well, this is what would have happened if Kovu...
Damn, that was...
Fire was spreading quickly over the Pride Lands. Simba realized Kiara was still out there and sprinted off to go look for her. When he found her by the water, he saw a strange lion standing next to her. It was Kovu. At first, Simba didn't trust him, but Kiara spoke up for him. "Father, he saved me from the fire," she said. Simba looked into Kovu's eyes, still unsure. But because Kiara seemed to really trust him, Simba agreed to let him stay in the Pride Lands, and they all went back to Pride Rock. Kovu stood at the edge of Pride Rock, looking out at the green fields full of animals. He made it into Simba's pride, just as Zira had planned. She told him this was his way to get close to Simba, so close that he could finish what Scar had started. As the days passed, Kovu spent time with Kiara. They hunted together, laughed together, and watched the stars together. But Kiara didn't know that Kovu was hiding something. He had been trained all of his life to kill Simba. But still, Kiara's kindness did something to him. He started having some doubts if Simba truly was the enemy, but he didn't really have the time to decide what to do. Because when he was about to tell Kiara about his mother's plan, Simba asked him to go on a walk with him to talk. As they walked, Kovu listened carefully to Simba's words about Scar, but deep inside, he was nervous. He knew his mother was waiting for the right moment to attack. But then, something happened. Growls started to come closer and closer, and then, all of a sudden, Zira and her lionesses showed themselves. They attacked with no mercy. At first, Kovu froze, not knowing what to do. He looked at Simba, then at Zira. "Do it, now, Kovu," Zira shouted. The words of his mother were demanding. He knew he had to follow her orders. Kovu lunged at Simba, joining the attack, and with the help of Kovu, they finally got what Zira always wanted. Simba fought until the very end, but he was outnumbered. His body lay still on the ground as Zira laughed evilly. Kovu was speechless. What had he done? What would Kiara think? But Zira saw the doubt in his eyes and told him not to be sad. He was going to be the king. It was finally just like Scar had always wanted. But then Kiara arrived at the scene. She was too late. She looked at Kovu, her eyes full of tears. "Why?" she whispered. But Kovu turned away, unable to look her in the eyes. He had killed her father. How could he? Simba was gone, and Kovu had taken his first step towards becoming king of the Pride Lands. But it wasn't without a cost. But Zira wasted no time and told the lions to follow her. She was about to take back what in her eyes belonged to Scar. She marched into Pride Rock with Kovu and her lionesses.
Do something big. Work with small children.
Target sensitive instant relief. Switch on instant relief wherever you are, whenever it's needed.
The Pride was in shock and fear. Zira then shouted, "Simba is gone, and Kovu will now be your king." This is the way Scar, the true king, would have wanted it. But the Pride did not cheer. They looked at Kovu, wondering how this had happened. Nala, standing near Kiara, said nothing. Her eyes were full of pain. Kiara stepped forward, but her voice trembled. "This isn't right," she said. "Simba wanted peace, not more fighting." Zira glared at her. "Your father is gone now. This is how things are now. Accept it, or leave." Kiara turned to Kovu, hoping he would say something to stop Zira, but Kovu stayed quiet. He felt trapped. He had done what Zira wanted, but it didn't feel like a victory, because deep inside, he knew his mother's actions weren't right. Days passed, and Kovu tried to act like a king. He gave orders and held meetings with the Pride, but the lionesses of Pride Rock didn't trust him. They whispered to each other about Simba's death and how Kovu had betrayed them. They were still adapting to their new lifestyle with all of Zira's lionesses. They had to hunt more now that they had to feed more lions. Zira's other kids, Nuka and Vitani, also thought they had a lot to say now. Vitani was close to Kovu and passed down his commands to the other animals, while Nuka was mostly just angry that he wasn't the king. He thought since he was the eldest, he deserved to be Scar's heir. In the meantime, Nuka's jealousy only grew stronger. He watched as his younger brother took everything. Knowing Zira had chosen Kovu to follow in Scar's paw prints, why wasn't it me? Nuka muttered to himself. I'm Scar's real son. I deserve to be king. Kovu noticed some tension between him and Nuka. He tried to include him more in his decisions, but it was never enough. Nuka wanted more. He began to think about what Scar had done to Mufasa. If Scar could take the throne by force, maybe Nuka could too. The Pride Lands slowly began to change. The animals missed Simba, and herds became smaller since the lionesses had to hunt more now. One night, Kovu stood at the edge of Pride Rock, looking out at the land with a sad face. Kiara approached him, her voice soft but firm. This isn't what you wanted, is it? She asked. Kovu didn't answer right away.
Mamma mia, why is it going so slow on a 40,000 grow server?
Kiara looked at him with sadness. You can still make it right, but you have to stand up to Zira. You have to be your own king. I will never forgive what you did to my father, but all the animals in the Pride Lands deserve better, and you know it.
Little man.
Kiara walked off to go. Her words kept going every day. But in the meantime, Nuka's jealousy had grown unbearable. Watching Kovu as king and hearing Zira praise him all boiled inside of him. One night, Nuka decided he couldn't wait any longer. He was the son of Scar. If Scar could do it, so could he. If Kovu is out of the way, the throne will be mine, he thought. Later that evening, Nuka found Kovu alone near the waterhole. Kovu had gone there to think, still wrestling with the guilt of what he had done to Simba and thinking about Kiara's words. What are you doing out here? Nuka asked, acting like he was concerned. Just thinking, Kovu replied, turning to face him. But before he could say more, Nuka attacked. Nuka clawed and bit, driving Kovu to the edge of the watering hole. Kovu fought back, but his mind wasn't in the battle. He hesitated, and that was all Nuka needed. With a final blow, Nuka knocked Kovu into the water. Goodbye, little brother, Nuka sneered, watching Kovu sink beneath the surface. He turned and walked back to Pride Rock, thinking he had won. But Kovu wasn't dead. Under the water, Kovu clawed his way to the surface and dragged himself to the edge of the Pride Lands. He was injured, but he forced himself